about the meeting and what they're hoping to achieve. By framing agenda items as questions, you have a better sense of who really has to be invited to the meeting. They're relevant to the questions. By framing agenda items as questions, you know when to end the meeting, and if the meeting has been successful, the questions have been answered. By framing agenda items as questions, you create an engaging challenge for attendees that draws them in. And if you just can't think of any questions, it likely means you don't need a meeting. All right, in the chat, what do you think of this approach? Framing your agenda as questions to be answered.
So we have a question from Scott Ross that I hear what you're saying about having fewer attendees, but I found that people tend to replace larger all-inclusive meetings with a series of separate one-on-one meetings that turns into a telephone game. How can this be avoided?
So, I mean, we obviously want to be efficient, and it could be the case that we have a larger meeting with more people to get messages out in a consistent and clear manner, but we keep them short and powerful, and we end them quickly. And so there's obviously still a need for larger meetings. It's just that if we truly want people to be engaged and to feel included, large meetings is not the answer, right? It's going to be some combination of leveraging large meetings effectively, but then also using things like one-on-one meetings more strategically. Because candidly, in those one-on-ones and these smaller meetings, that's where that feeling of inclusion can truly emerge. All right, so getting lots of good thoughts about the questions approach. Excellent, excellent. Oh my gosh, these are so much fun to read.
We have a question comparing huddles and meetings. Are they the same thing?
Yes, it's a type, huddle is a type of meeting. And in my book, I have a whole chapter about huddles. I'm not going to go into them here too deeply, but we can more towards the end. You know, with huddles, you know, you just have to be very disciplined, right? Because these things are going to be short and powerful and tight. And so they're designed to really do the lay of the land, look at the immediate challenges and problems for a day or a few days. But it's not the time to really discuss more strategic issues that we want to do in a more thoughtful way outside the huddle. Okay, so much to talk about. Number 3, set meeting times properly. You tend to get more energy and engagement when a meeting is tight by design. Avoid defaulting to the hour-long meeting unless it's truly needed, especially given something called Parkinson's Law. And Parkinson's Law is the idea that work expands to fill whatever time's allotted to it. So if a meeting is scheduled for 1 hour, magically it will take 1 hour. But we can use this to our advantage. Don't hesitate to make your meetings 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 45 minutes. We will get it done. And dialing the meeting time back a bit also creates positive pressure. And research shows that groups operating under some level of pressure actually perform more optimally given increased focus and urgency. Number 4, if at all possible, use video in your virtual meetings. We need to create presence, as presence promotes inclusion. We want attendees to be actively engaged, and video increases the chances of that happening. And as an added bonus, it does serve to decrease multitasking. Yes, it can increase fatigue, but I would rather handle meeting fatigue differently, namely by shrinking meeting sizes, shrinking meeting times, and making meetings truly work. Those are the best mechanisms for decreasing fatigue. And as an aside, another good way to handle fatigue is to build meeting-free breaks into your calendar. You know, to be sure to stretch and move around between meetings. Also try a standing up meeting. And an added bonus, this just in, there's a new option on Zoom and other packages that allow us to turn off our self-view. And turning off your self-view is so helpful, as looking at ourselves, which is what we do, appears to be quite mentally taxing. All right, pre-meeting. So next stop, during the meeting, choices to promote inclusion. And I have 4 tips. Start the meeting well, as it sets the stage for inclusion. As the meeting leader, your mood actually matters. It sets the tone. Research suggests it even produces a contagion effect on attendees where their mood mirrors yours. So start the meeting with energy, appreciation, and gratitude, especially during these challenging times. And doing so increases the chances of a more positive meeting mood state, which actually matters because it promotes more participation, creativity, listening, constructiveness. And that's all essential to inclusion. And I'm not at all suggesting that leaders are artificially positive, but even in difficult circumstances, we can display energy, appreciation, and gratitude. Number 2, establish some meeting norms around creating an inclusive meeting. Periodically create mutual expectations with your attendees about what makes for a good and inclusive meeting, right? How can we expect our meetings to be inclusive if we never talk about what makes for a good and inclusive one and what we should avoid? So get the expectations out there. Number 3, active facilitation. This is absolutely key to promote inclusion. Meeting leaders must embrace the role of facilitator. Draw in attendees. Like, so Sasha, please share your thoughts. Jack, I haven't heard from you for a while. What do you have to say about this? This keeps people engaged. Avoid generically asking any comments, right? Be dialed into the dynamics and make sure you're gaining engagement, helping manage conflicts constructively and creating a safe space. And don't let an attendee ramble and go off topic. Kindly interrupt if necessary so others can engage. That is your job as a meeting leader. And all attendees are hoping you do this. Number 4, this one's crazy. I want you to bear with me on this one. Try silence in your meetings at times. Silence can promote inclusion almost like no other technique. This sounds a little crazy, I know. So let me unpack this one. Research supports the benefits of silence in a meeting as a way of gathering more ideas, perspectives, and insights from attendees. For example, if you compare groups brainstorming in silence, typing directly into a document, versus those brainstorming with their mouths, silent brainstorming groups yielded nearly twice as many ideas. And those ideas tended to be even more creative. So here in chat, why would silent brainstorming result in more and in better ideas? Throw it into chat. Less inhibition, time to reflect, less groupthink, no judgment. Awesome. Processing time, fabulous. Fewer dominating voices. These are great. Yes. Beautiful. Yeah, these are fabulous. Introverts can have a voice. Absolutely. Absolutely. So there's a lot of reasons why silent brainstorming can result in more and better ideas. When communicating via writing, all can talk at once. There's no waiting for your turn. Additionally, there's less filtering of ideas given the simultaneous generation of ideas. And here's the good news. Silence can be done very easily in a virtual meeting by just sharing with attendees a Google Doc or actually using some of the great apps out there like Shuffleboard or Klaxoon. And these apps really allow you to kind of engage silently. And the document can contain key questions that need to be answered or prompts for brainstorming. And all participants are encouraged to contribute to the document for, say, 15 minutes or whatever makes sense. And during this window, attendees are actively generating ideas. They're commenting on others' inputs, and they're basically collaborating actively via writing. Once this time period